Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. How's everybody doing today? We welcome everybody watching on the McGrath Podcast Network, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere you might be watching us today. We obviously thank all the groups, the dozens of groups that allow us to share, that have gotten us to just short, by the way, the groups and between the shows and some of the clips I've shared, 100,000 views in the last 28 days, just short. So thank you for all of that. Our favorite one's always scrolling at the bottom of the screen. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Love of Baseball. Flo and Can from the Bottom Line Sports Podcast. Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause from Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams over at RW Media. Ralph does some good stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, specifically the Sports Corner that he does every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoke and Jim Frazier. He's got a ton of stuff going on the radio too, Ralph. Good job, Ralph. Guys, we'll get into the NBA playoffs today. We'll get into the NFL draft a little bit. We can talk a little bit of baseball. Mets 10 straight losses. The NBA yesterday, though, Knicks with a nice win. Karl Anthony Towns gives you every bit of his good and bad yesterday. You saw it all in the same game. Lakers with a nice win, and LeBron with an excellent game with both Luka and Reeves out. Great job there. Denver, Jokic, just a ho-hum triple-double, helps them overcome the Minnesota Timberwolves in game one, and Cleveland wins over Toronto. NHL, we'll talk a little bit. We can look at the matchups in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the big news today, at least right now, is Dexter Lawrence getting traded from the Giants to the Bengals. We'll be talking some NFL draft as much as you want to talk about it. It's your show, you guys, and we're going to let you drive the topics as always. But Dexter Lawrence getting traded from the Giants to the Bengals for the Bengals' number one pick, which is the 10th pick in the draft, is a very, very one-sided deal here. The Giants now put themselves in the driver's seat here as far as choices at 5 and at 10. I mean, there's ways they can go offensively. There's ways they can go defensively. They can move that 10th pick. Jack had mentioned on the roundtable show moving them for Marvin Harrison. I like Marvin Harrison. The more I've thought about it, and I was agreeing at that point, but I'm not sure I'd give up the number 10 pick in a draft for him right now without getting something else back. Not one for one. You know, maybe I get the Cardinals' first round pick. It's probably not going to happen. But there's a lot of ways the Giants can go here. And the Bengals, this is not a good trade for the Bengals or Dexter Lawrence. They're not going to sign him for the money. He's demanding $30 million a year. He's got 2 years left on his contract, I believe. Not going to happen. I mean, he's going to be holding out either this year or next year, as he was threatening to do to the Giants. Well, he asked for a trade. He didn't threaten to hold out, I guess. But I bet he's holding out. He may not even report to the Bengals. Who knows? That's just my opinion. I haven't read anything. And if it next year, my guess is push will come to shove. Bengals don't extend anybody. Look what they did with Hendrickson. They pay Joe Burrow. They don't pay anybody else. They've been running their organization, you know, on a financial shoestring, it seems, for 50 years since Mike Brown took over for his father. Not quite 50. Pretty close, though, right? So big news there we can get into. We've also got what was I going to talk about? Anderson getting a 3-year, $150 million extension to have a brand new, which we for a while we seem to get every week, a new highest paid non-quarterback, and now it's Will Anderson for the Texans. Probably well-deserved. This guy is a monster. And then we got the draft itself, and I think there's going to be a lot of movement. We just saw a trade yesterday. I think there's going to be a lot of movement back, up and down in this draft, because there's some good talent in this draft. There's some You can look at it in several ways. It's deep in the fact that there's a lot of good players, but it's lacking in great players. I think there's some really good edge rushers, which we'll talk about, obviously, and linebackers, and one great safety. Wide receivers, I think there's only two guys that are worthy of the first round, and one of them is injury prone. I like a lot, Jordan Tyson. But we'll get into that. We'll get into the NBA, and we'll take this conversation where you guys want to go. And the Mets, what do the Mets do? We talked about it Friday. Mendoza gets the proverbial, how can it be a proverb if I can't remember what it is? I couldn't remember it Friday, and now I can't remember it again. I had it in my head. Anyway, it's a kiss of death because Stearns gave him his backing, and this isn't Mendoza's fault. This is Stearns' fault entirely in my mind. Garrett Cole got to start Friday. Looks like it's going to be probably the full 30 days of rehab for him in the minor leagues, which is fine. Let's get him healthy. And then you've got some guys, young guys signing long-term contracts, which I really think is a great thing. We had a near no-hitter this past week. We had whatever that is because I can't read it. And I don't know why I wrote about the Redskins in my baseball space. But in football, the Redskins are going back to their true colors. And there's even going to be an arrow in the W. So we're heading back towards Redskins, which everybody should be happy about. Danny should be. He's a fan. Hello, Donna. Good to have you with us. Happy Sunday to you. A little dreary here. We had a beautiful day yesterday. Had a nice day out, too, with my wife. And today my granddaughters and their parents will be here for a few hours later. And good day for it because we went from 80 to 40. Welcome to New York in the spring. Is that good morning aging, Keith? I know. Good morning again. It's Danny correcting himself. I was joking. Good morning, Danny. And there's the good mornings amongst all of you. Rick, good morning. Good to you. Good to see you up in Amsterdam, New York. Everybody wishing each other a happy Sunday. Rick, we're going to do without Jack and his entertainment for the next 90 minutes. Well, we're going 2 hours. Unless you guys run out of stuff. Metropolitans in shambles early as they don't look good. I mean, I can't see a way out for the Mets. The pitching's bad. The hitting's bad. The defense is bad. I can't see anything to hang your hat on. One thing you can hang your hat on as a Met fan is Mark Vientos seems to be maybe the player he was 2 years ago. Other than that, Mets have nothing going. Nothing. Can I say nothing again? Nothing. David Stern, maybe he was better off with a small budget because he doesn't know what to do when he's got money to spend. That'll be Chris F. Grave. How are you, Chris? Happy birthday to former Cincinnati Red and Toronto Blue Jay sensation Frank Viola. Huh? He's 66 today. Insidious fact. That's interesting. He's a son. His son, Frankie Viola, is a professional wildlife photographer. I don't remember Frank Viola playing for either one of those teams. He played with the Twins. He played with the Mets. I'm not saying you're wrong. Now I got to look it up is all. And again, this is me fact checking myself. I'm not really questioning Chris. I'm questioning my own memory. He did play with Cincinnati and Toronto at the end of his career. I wouldn't say he played with them. I mean, he pitched 9 games for them total. Oh, he did play with the Red Sox. I forgot about that. Yeah, he got a total of 3 starts with Cincinnati and 3 with Toronto. Wasn't very good. 6 ERA almost with both stops. I'm sorry, 4.65 with 6.28 with Cincinnati, 7.71 with Toronto. Toronto fans would probably like to forget that he was there, but happy birthday. I liked Frank Viola. Had some great years. Won a Cy Young with Minnesota. Came to the Mets, did win 20 games there before he started his little slow descent into irrelevance. Danny's definitely happy with the helmet uniforms. Now let's win the NFC East. He needs some improvement. Where are the Redskins been projecting to pick here in the oops, where's my here it is. I just ran a mock draft here this morning, and it's kind of funky. It's a little funky. Just to look at your okay, where are you? Oh, you're picking 7th, right? Ruben Bain is what this one came up with. Ruben Bain, and you guys need help at defensive line, wide receiver, running back. Another team that, by the way, if Jeremiah Love should fall, would be in place. So I talked to James about the Saints potentially getting him at 8. If he falls to 7, I don't think the Redskins ever let him go or let him buy. But you're going to have a pretty good choice of players. I don't think I'd take a wide receiver at 7. The earliest I'd take one might be if the Giants might take Jordan Tyson, I think, at 10. I think he's the most talented wide receiver in this draft. He's got some injury issues, had some injury issues. Tate, a lot of great wide receivers come out of, or have come out of Ohio State in the recent past. Tate, again, probably the bit worst thing he did was run at the combine. It was a slow time. He said the clock was off, blah, blah, blah. I think it hurts him a little bit, and I do think he falls out of the top. He might fall out of the top 10 here. But the Redskins could do worse than they're going to have. Look at the beginning of this draft, and I think the edge rushers are the best. Reese, Bain, Bailey, linebackers, edge rushers. I'm calling them the same thing, kind of. Sonny Styles. I think there's 5 or 6 really good guys. Caleb Down, I think, is a well, he said, again, can't miss is a relative term because guys miss all the time. Half these guys are going to fail. A lot of ways you can go here. I think the biggest question here, and I think Jeremiah Love's one of the biggest stories in this draft coming up, for sure, in my mind, for sure. Let me just check something here real quick. I just want to look at a couple things. Jesus. 2026. All right. Let me get back to your comments here. Same weather here in Philly. 80s yesterday, 50 today, and rainy here too. So it's going to be a dreary day. We get a couple of dreary days. Get out and play golf this week, though. Rain or shine. Yeah. You know what? I don't know about you, Danny, but I get in these situations where I see guys age and I go, I'm surprised they're as old as they are more than I'm as old as I am, if that makes any sense. There's so many guys that are my age that I still look at as when I played. They were my age when they played ball, but now when I see them at 66 or hear about, or see them especially, it doesn't quite compute in my head. I don't know why. If you reside in the Eastern Standard Time, which is where I do, it's a good day to gobble up as much NHL hockey as you can. Lots of Western teams in the mix. So a lot of 10. Yeah. Us old guys can't handle those 9 and 10 p.m. starts, let me tell you. But the hockey's got some good stuff going on. Basketball today, every game in the basketball today, I think is going to, let me just run down the games yesterday. We'll talk about yesterday's games more. Every one of these series, I can't think of a game I say, I got to watch this game in the NBA. So NHL might be the way to go. And the Yankees. 76ers and Celtics. Every one of these series could be 4-0. The games yesterday, every one of those series could go 6 or 7 games, I think. I'll have to recap that. Probably not the Cleveland series. The other 3 series could go 6-7 games. 76ers and Celtics, Embiid's not playing, no chance for the 76ers. Suns and Thunder, I thought the Suns could win a game after watching them play in the play-in tournament. I don't think they can. The Thunder, I think, could win in 4. The Pistons could win in 4. And the Spurs could beat the Trailblazers in 4. So I don't see a game here that I gotta go watch, right? Interesting too in the NBA. I'll throw out here the Warriors go out after winning a game, battling their way to a chance to get in the playoffs. And interesting, kind of emotional for Steve Kerr after this game, talking to Steph Curry, talking to Draymond Green, basically telling them, that he has no idea what the future is going to bring for any of them. Steve Kerr could be gone. I don't see Steph Curry leaving, quite frankly. But anything's possible in the sports world today. I can see Draymond Green going and busting up the rest of that team because it's obviously it's a shell of itself. And so I think Steph Curry deserves another shot. Maybe he'll go to a contender. Maybe he won't. He's still got a year, I think, on his contract. But Steve Kerr could not be back. We don't know what this team will be looking like. He basically said to them and told them both he loved them. So kind of an emotional moment there. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us. Good morning, Matt. Matt's early this morning out there in California. He almost beat Danny. Well, no, Danny got up late at 5:30. Good job. Jack was watching UFL yesterday with Pudding Cup. 4 great NBA games yesterday. Major League Baseball. Probably watch, draft analysis. And Jack's watching the UFL. In 20 minutes, he said. But I couldn't even tell you there was a UFL game yesterday, for crying out loud. Oh, my God. Let's talk. So who's here with us? AC, I don't remember who your team is. So just to kick off a little bit of draft chatter, and I do want to talk some NBA. And that's, again, anything you guys want to talk about, we can talk about. Your teams, baseball, football, basketball. Your NFL teams, though, all of you that are here today, Donna for Philadelphia, Danny for the Redskins, Rick for the Vikings, AC, I don't remember your team, Matt, Chargers, right, Chargers, and Bolts, dummy. Where do you think your team's going? And we'll take a look and have conversations around that. No interest in hockey. Probably cheer Cleveland, and Mitchell could care less about the Lakers. Listen, I have to tell you, again, I talk about this all the time, right? You can say what you want about LeBron, and in fairness to the guys that rip them, and you know who you are, you do give him credit for being one of the best players of all time. And I really thought with Luka and Reeves out, number one, the Lakers were in a lot of trouble against the Rockets. I didn't realize, and I didn't see this game, quite frankly. I saw the highlights of this game, so I saw an extended. I actually replayed the game and just kind of fast forward through it really quickly. But I thought LeBron would go to LeBron, on steroids and shoot 30 times and try to carry this team that way. But LeBron really played the game that he'd been playing the last couple of months, where he's always been a facilitator, but even more so. 8 assists in the first quarter, which was an NBA playoff record. The Lakers shoot 61%, which they may have to do if Durant comes back healthy and they don't get Luka, who was on the bench, or Reeves back. I think the Lakers played the way they need to play. Again, we were talking at 8:00 about the discrepancy in offensive rebounding for the Rockets. But when you miss, 60% of your shots or more, almost 65% of your shots, you're going to get a lot of chances at offensive rebounds. And when you miss 30 or 40% of your shots, you're going to get a lot less chances. So you got to remember, you can't just look at the thing and go, oh, my God, look at the discrepancy in offensive rebounds. How could the Rockets not have been in this game more? Well, that's why. But I thought LeBron played a great game yesterday. Kennard with a playoff high, maybe a career high, I don't know, 27 points. I mean, if you looked at this and said Hakamori, Ayton, Smart, and Kennard, along with LeBron, were going to be the starters, and they got Vanderbilt, Larava, and Hayes, and LeBron, he had a, curtain call. I wouldn't think the Lakers had a chance to win this game. And then watching it through this game quickly, I don't know that the Lakers defense was all that great. I think the Rockets just don't have somebody to go to with Durant out. So this was a very interesting game, I thought, yesterday. I thought a lot of these games were interesting. Going to the Cleveland game to Matt's point, I don't have a lot of interest. And I think Cleveland wins this first round game and goes out in the second round. They're not a team that's had a lot of success. Kenny Atkinson they had 64 wins last year and went out second round, right? This Raptors team is not very good. When RJ Barrett, and I like RJ Barrett a lot, he's your best player, basically. Scotty Barnes, great players on a good team, where you're the third, fourth, fifth, sixth best player on the team. When you're the first and second best players on the team, you're not going very far. Knicks with a very interesting game yesterday against the Red Hot Hawks. Nuggets win their 13th in a row, and I said a very boring, it seems, because we just say it. It's funny, we were talking about the game, and Brian just kind of mentioned in a very subdued way a triple-double for Jokic. It happens every day. Triple doubles are a big deal, and Jokic gets one like every single day. If Trevor Bauer pitches well in Long Island, I don't know but I'm starting to feel he might get a sniff. There's only going to be a couple teams that would take this shot, Chris. And I really don't think it's going to happen because if we've talked about, again, his personality is still, he hasn't had a personality transplant. He may not have done the things that he was accused of doing when he got released by the Dodgers, but he's still got the same abrasive personality that he had. And a lot of teams are not going to want to bring that into their clubhouse. He's very talented. I will never tell you that he isn't. But he still shows his immaturity and his abrasiveness often. He did it in Mexico. He'd done it with every major league team that he pitched with. I'm not sure, as a Yankee fan, I don't, if I'm running that team, I'm not bringing him into that clubhouse. Mets got enough problems in their clubhouse, apparently, rather than bringing Trevor Bauer in. A team like the Braves, maybe. They've certainly had some guys with checkered resumes, if you will. So I guess the Braves, if somebody was going to take a chance, is as good a team as any. My guess is it might be somebody who's worse off than the Braves. But, I don't know. I've been on the same track with Trevor Bauer for a while. I don't think Trevor Bauer pitches in the major leagues again. Oh, that's right. You're also a Bears fan. I forgot about this dual fanship thing that Keith just can't understand. I have friends, and the great John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Check that group out, by the way. Snappy new logo and all. I haven't pinned John down yet, but I can never tell whether he's a Jets fan or a Giants fan, a Yankee fan or a Mets fan. He could be a fan of all four teams. I know teams that root for both teams in a city, and I don't get it. And again, I'm not saying I don't have a monopoly on what's right or wrong. You know, I've said this many times. My opinion's just that. My opinion. I don't root for anybody but my team. I mean, I have money on a game. I root for a team, right? I might have if my teams are out, I might have find a reason to pull more for another team. Last year, for instance, in the World Series, I pulled for Toronto over LA because of Donnie Baseball being on the bench and never getting any World Series ring as a player, a manager, a coach. In fact, it was his first trip to the World Series. So anyway, I've just, again, everybody's entitled to that. Because I don't have a monopoly on what's right or wrong, believe me. It's funny. I've seen who came up in this draft I did here for today for Minnesota. I've seen some interesting picks for the draft I did today. They get Loani, if that's how you say his name, from Penn State, the guard. They need running back, center, defensive interior, safety. So there's safeties around this pick. I don't know. Yeah, this was one of the more interesting mock drafts that I saw. This one that I had up here most recently. If I run a draft, if I go by team need, that's not what I want to do. Interesting. I'm not crazy about any of the safeties in this draft, actually. After we go to safety here, I don't know if I'm crazy about any of the guys after Caleb Down at safety, quite frankly. Well, you get Steinman. I think Steinman go to he's 11. He's ranked 11th in this draft. Then you fall down to McNeil Warren at 21. And again, this is PFF. Then all the way down to 52. So you only got 3 guys first round rankings. Caleb Down's by far the best of them. I like Dylan Steinman. He might be, but I mean, again, you're going to jump at, where are you at? 14, I said, Rick. Where are the, why do I keep losing the drafted numbers here? I got too many windows open here today. Draft order. So you're picking at, just said it, Keith. I can't find them. There they are. 18. Timon could be gone then too, so that would leave you with the third best safety. I think you're going to get better players available at other positions you need there. Totally enjoyed my Flyers beating Cryberry Crosby and the Penguins last night. Interesting. There's some interesting matchups here in the first round, by the way. To me, Flyers and Penguins are a very interesting matchup, obviously. Cryberry Crosby. Sidney Crosby's a great player. I wouldn't call him it's funny, and not, it's fine. We have teams we like and players we like, and guys we don't like, we really find a way to label them, right? And I'm no different. But I don't think Sidney Crosby's a crybaby. I think Sidney Crosby's a great player who gets hurt a lot. I like the Penguins actually to win this series if Crosby's healthy, but maybe not after losing this game at home, I believe, right? The other interesting, Sabres and Bruins to me is the most interesting matchup in the East. The Sabres haven't been relevant in what seems like 2 decades. I'm sure it's not quite that long, but Lindy Ruff's done a great job there in his second time around. I'm interested in the Oilers and Ducks out west. I think the Golden Knights and the Mammoth is very interesting. Utah getting in their second year of existence. Well, after moving to Phoenix. from Phoenix. The Stars in the Wild, I don't know where CJ is. I think they're great matchups out west. I think in the East, I don't. Well, the Canadians and Lightning are another interesting matchup. As they were playing for the Eastern Conference Championship here a few years ago, the Canadians also have been on hard times the last few years. But I think it's wide open. Your Flyers could certainly win the East, Don, and I think anybody could win the East, quite frankly. As I look at this, I think really it's that wide open. There's Allen. Oklahoma spring game yesterday. From what I heard, Mateer has looked the best since he's been here. Of course, I live in Norman now, so I hear a lot of inside stuff. Well, again, you're probably not going to hear a lot of bad stuff. I'm not a big Mateer fan, as you know. And I think you saw in their meltdown against Alabama why I don't like Mateer. And I'm sure there's tons of reasons I can be given that why he played so badly. But I didn't think he played that well during the regular season, except for a handful of games. And then always hurt. I get that. And I hope he plays well. Listen, I don't want Oklahoma to be bad. It probably sounds like I want Oklahoma to be bad all the time because I don't really, I don't like the coach. I don't like the quarterback. I don't like this. I don't like that. But again, I don't root for Oklahoma to be bad because college football is better when Oklahoma is good and other teams, right? But I say this all the time. In almost every sport, well, I guess every sport, the game is better, the league is better when certain teams are good, whether you like them or whether you hate them. And I liked Oklahoma during the Barry Switzer years when they were lawless and they'd run for, 600 yards a game. The game was different. I enjoyed some of these teams that played that style of football. College football's changed so much. It's not a whole lot different than pro football, obviously, in a lot of ways. But I found myself having a falling out with Oklahoma. And I think it was partly after they fired Howard Schnellenberger after one season. And again, it was a bad fit anyway. But Howard Schnellenberger is one of my favorite coaches. And I thought he got treated pretty badly by Oklahoma. But it was a bad fit for both of them. Chargers need offensive line help, defensive line help, tight end in later rounds would be good. Tight ends, there's one good one. The kid from Oregon I like a lot, I got to tell you. And tight ends, you're probably only going to see one go in the first round. You may only see one go in the first couple of rounds. Same thing with running back. Very interesting. Sadiq, if that's how you say his name, from Oregon, I think is the best one. I'd love to see him fall in the first round. Not going to happen because Patriots are going to draft tight ends somewhere here. But Sadiq, I don't think gets past 13, 14, 15. Where did he go in this draft I ran this morning? He went 14 to the Ravens. But there's a lot of teams that need tight end. And I think you'll get one later. The Chargers in this draft, who did they take in this? Again, I run a couple. It's just the latest one I have. They ended up with the safety in this draft. McNeil Warren, excuse me, from Toledo, ranked as the third best safety in this draft. They need wide receivers too, don't they, Matt? I think that team needs wide receivers. I mean, you're getting a little old in the tooth. Keenan takes his helmet off. He looks like me. Well, if one of us, if I was black or he was white, he'd look like me, I guess. But Ben McDonald, a guy who, by the way, I take in my Stratomatic 90s teams a lot. By the way, Ben McDonald issues that's He had maturity issues that stunted his progress. He was a number 1 pick. Makes you think of players from the past that would have been absolute disaster if social media was around today. Ben McDonald's a very, and maybe this is part of the reason you make this comment, Chris, but Ben McDonald is very prevalent on social media today and very outspoken. He's on like I think he runs like a farm. I don't mind these guys. I don't have a problem with them speaking their mind, but maybe because a lot of them are on my side of the aisle. I don't know, but you're right. There's a lot of guys from the past who would have been disasters today with social media, without a doubt. Well, you're not a fan in the same division, same conference, right? You're talking about the Bears in Philadelphia, right? So you don't play in the same division, obviously. You might mean the same conference. I don't understand it in general, but that's just me. You don't need to change your ways. I'm never going to preach to you to say you're going down the wrong path. Maple Leaf PR did a tremendous job keeping party hard Doug Gilmore out of the papers. Listen, athletes aren't role models, man. That's what Charles Barkley said, and he's absolutely right. Yeah, I like guys with some character, right? But I don't have a problem with them being bad role models. That's not their job. It's nice when somebody is, right? There were guys I idolized and looked up to, and they were my role models. Bobby Mercer was my guy when I was a kid. But as I got older, I realized, parents should be kids' role models, not ball players. 18. Yeah, 18. So you think they go safety? And I don't know if they do that if, again, McNeil Warren's the 3rd ranked guy in this class at safety. Then it falls off to the 2nd round. I don't know if you reach then, Rick. I've seen Sadiq at 18 to the Vikings in some mock drafts as well, even though they have Hawkinson, or is that how you say his name? Hawkinson. He's a free agent, I think, after next year. They may be planning ahead. Flyers, Penguins, massive rivalry. It is a great series in the East. I like the Buffalo. I'm a Ranger fan, so now Buffalo's a great story because they've been down for a long, long time. Lindy Ruff getting a second chance there. And if I was going to root for somebody, when my teams are out, I often will root for good games, right? Yankees go out of the playoffs last year. I'm rooting for a good series. Or maybe teams I predicted to win. Well, it's always good when somebody you predict does well. But I've never been a fan. I got one team in baseball. I got one team in football. I got one team in basketball. I got one team in hockey. I got one team in college. College is a place where over the years, and I've migrated to Miami in the last 10 plus years because of my family and the connections that we have to Miami. But again, I've probably rooted more for different college football teams than any sport. And I've jumped around a little bit, not bandwagon jumping, obviously, because Miami hasn't been any good most of those years that I've rooted for them. There's the years I was a Notre Dame fan because Charlie Weiss was a coach, things like that. And good stories. I always root for good stories in college sports. And it's changing a little because of the landscape, right? But Anaheim versus Edmonton, you're going to have to follow those games in the morning news, or you're going to need a whole case of Pepsi Cola. Yeah, those games will be a little late. for me. And again, my hockey fanness is I'm the first to admit I'm a fair weather fan. When the Rangers aren't any good, I kind of lose interest in hockey pretty quickly. But when the Stanley Cup gets here, especially once we get past this first round, because you get into hockey, there's no better overtime than hockey overtimes in my mind, especially when you get to like game sevens and you get overtime. Game sevens in hockey feel like the best atmosphere in sports. I think basketball game sevens are more intense than baseball as well. Baseball, who I'm a big fan of, I think has lost some of that intensity over the years. And I don't think the game sevens are as exciting as the NHL or the NBA in the playoffs. Again, one man's opinion. Take that back. I might try to tune in the Anaheim Ducks. There you go. The Mighty Ducks. Hello, Mr. Pulver. You're heading to the beach, heading to Long Beach tomorrow. Pick up Watson's sub. Jet fan Billy Pulver. Listen, I saw actually a lot of debate about the Knicks or the Jets first round pick. We've got them taking Bailey, we got them taking Reese, we've got them taking some people have them taking Love. Some people have them trading down. I'm looking at my mock draft right now with the Patriots. And it's funny. With the picks that have gone before this, it's going to be a tough decision for me between Caden Proctor, the tackle from Miami or Alabama, or Denzel Boston, a wide receiver from Washington. And Casey Concepcion is another possibility, but I think he's a second round pick. So I don't know. But the Jets, very interesting. And the Giants, by the way, they got all kinds of ways they can go. If Love stays there, there's a chance they get Love at 5, and I think the Titans take Love, by the way, just to be clear. But if he should fall, I think the Giants would be foolish not to take him. They could take him and I love Jordan Tyson. I know his injury history. He's the best wide receiver without the injuries. And again, you can't totally discount that. I understand. He's the best wide receiver coming out. I think he's head and shoulders above Carnell Tate. I really do. If they went running back and a running mate for Malik Neighbors at 10, and to me, Tate or Tyson's the only two guys you can do that with, because I think all the other wide receivers are either late first round or second round picks, the good ones. Oh, you meant the conference. Yeah. You got to go. You have a great weekend. Stay out of the rain and cold. It's going to be cold here for a few days. Tiger. Oh, Tiger. So, Tiger. So, how do we know? Oh, he probably does genuinely wish he could be there, except he got in a car accident and had to go to rehab, so he didn't go to jail. You're not going to get me to give any sympathy to Tiger Woods other than the fact that the man needs help, and he should worry about that and not the fact that he can't be at Pebble Beach. Tiger's just... This is a sad story. And that fortunately isn't a tragic story. So now we've got several instances where this story could be much more tragic than it ended up, and he should consider himself lucky that he's gotten multiple wake-up calls without being dead or killing somebody else. And I hope he's sincere and genuine, to use your word, Chris, in his desire to straighten out his life. Listen, I'm not a perfect human being. I shouldn't be judging anybody. But I've seen this type of thing up close, very close. And I can tell you that, until you want help, you won't get help. And if you're just going to continue to to let people, yes you to death and allow you and enable you. And I was an enabler. It doesn't get better. And sometimes it ends up tragic. Another wide receiver to help McConkey. And listen, Keenan, like I said, his head looks like mine. McConkey's really good, though. I like McConkey a lot. That was a great pick. And who did I say that they took in this mock I ran here this morning? I should run another one just to see how much different it is. Safety is where they went here. I'm not, other than I like Tyson, and it's a bit of a reach in the top 10 I think for Tate or Jordan Tyson. But the thing is, they're by far the best two wide receivers in this draft in my mind. And Tyson is head and shoulders above all of them if he's healthy. You're going to have to reach, I think, if you want to get these guys, because somebody's going to. You could see, and I don't think this will be the case, because I think if Love isn't there for the Redskins, I think they go defense, because they will. Somebody will be there among Bailey, Bain. I've seen Bain going to, and I know all about his short arms, but this guy's a great player. Reese, guys falling down into those that 7-8 spot. You're going to get a great defensive player if you want to go for defense. And the Giants could go that way too. Again, if they don't get Love, I expect them to go for Caleb Downs with the 5 pick. One of the more enticing things too, or interesting things, not enticing, interesting things about this draft is Ty Simpson. I think Danny had mentioned Ty Simpson getting picked by the Rams at, where are they? 20 what? And there's going to be more trades, by the way, because these are not going to hold up. There's going to be a lot of trading, I think in this first round, you're going to see a bunch of trades. In fact, I think the computer must have made a trade in this one, because I don't even see the Rams with a first round pick here. Why? They don't have one. They must have traded it. The computer traded the Rams pick, but we did see Ty Simpson as a potential for them as a in-waiting replacement for Matt Stafford. We think the Jets at 16 are a potential. He's one of the guys who's probably increased his stock bet more than most players, or maybe any players, since this college football season ended. And I think it's very interesting to see where he's going to go in this draft. That's one of the big stories. I think Jeremiah Love is a big story because teams are not wanting to pay big money to running backs. We know that. And a lot of times we don't see it until their rookie contract's up, but you have to pay a guy drafted in the top 5 just by the salary structure that's set up. Guys who get picked in the top 5 are going to get more than guys picked in the, outside of the top 5, out of the top 10, out of the top 15. Again, I don't know where the breaks are, but there are, there are some, sorry, there are some requirements for guys to, as far as what they can get paid or can't get paid early. So there is some talk that Love could fall out of the top 10. I don't see it happening. I've said several times, if he falls to 5, 4 teams are going to regret it. He's the best player in this draft in my mind. If he falls to 10, 9 teams are going to regret it. I can keep going. However, wherever he gets drafted, that many teams before them are going to be disappointed. Here's an inane one for you. I don't think I asked for inane either. what was the word we used? Irreverent, not irrelevant was the thing. One time, because I have always tasked Chris, this is why you see Chris's comments, to find irreverent information and let's have some fun with it. And one time I called it irrelevant, and that's obviously two very different things. The major league career of Rene Gonzalez, who I do remember, he played longer than you think. He's 6'3". He got up to 220 pounds. No coach tried to get power hitting out of him. I don't think he had any power, did he? I like to look these guys up when you bring them up, Chris. Let's check them out. Baseball Reference. Where are you? There he is. Man, he's old now. That can't be him. When was he born? I guess that could be him. He's 66 years old now. That can't be right. Is that right? Yeah, he was born in 1960. Never got to the major leagues till 1986. Well, 84, he played 30 games. Most home runs he ever hit was 7. Most of bats he ever had was 329. I do remember this guy, though. I think I remember him with Baltimore. Baltimore had a bunch of guys like him in the 80s, by the way. Guys who could play. Where do you play? Can't believe I'm on Rene Gonzalez this long. Shortstop, third base. Guys with no power. Good, decent fielders. Todd Cruz, Dower, Gonzalez. He was after it. I mean, when they were winning, they had bad third basemen. And Rich Dower was never much of a hitter either. This was just past. He got to Baltimore not till 87. So this is well past the time that I'm thinking of. There's some other guys that played third base too for that team. When they won in 83, I think Todd Cruz was a third baseman. Always like, I don't know how to click on it. Listen, I don't dislike Tiger, but I don't find any. I find him very disingenuous, and I don't want this to end up in a tragedy. But it's hard to feel sorry for guys who won't go and get help. You know, and he's needed that. I mean, he's obviously needed help for a long time. I mean, go back and look at the first time he got pulled over and look at that video. And again, I'm no prude. I've done things I shouldn't have done. But I'm pretty sure I was never driving in that condition or I went to sleep behind the wheel. Right? I never drove, 80 miles an hour in a 50 down a windy highway and drove off the road into the rocks and flipped my car and could have killed myself. I never fell asleep, which he probably did in this last accident, flipped my car. And if somebody was coming the other way, God knows what would have happened. Got to get help. I mean, again, I'll pray for him. Yeah, I agree. But, and Tiger became something that it's not all Tiger's fault, right? Tiger only became the best golfer in the world. Not the best of all time. Sorry. That's Jack. And it might be Rory before we're all said and done, might be second. But Tiger's in his era was the best golfer of all time. The best golfer of that time. But it became watching some of these tournaments and majors were impossible because even when Tiger was past that prime, when Tiger was out of tournaments, not even in contention, all I saw all day long was Tiger Woods. Now, that's not Tiger's fault. That's TV's fault. Anyway, speaking of TV, I do have a couple comments about TV to make. I thought Prime did a really good job with the Nick Hawks game yesterday. I know we got a problem with all these games in all these leagues. I don't know where any of the games are anymore. And the DOJ is looking into the NFL's TV deals, streaming deals, and pushing more and more games and theoretically some of the better games to streaming services where people will have to pay more money. I don't think anything will come of this, by the way, but the DOJ is going to look into this. And these leagues have to be careful because if the word antitrust ever comes up, well, that's bad. They don't want to ever be losing their antitrust exemptions, right? And I don't know whether it even applies here, but once you hear that word, you'll know that the sport is looking at a problem. But, and I talked about this last week, right? I mean, people are, and maybe I talked about, JB brought it up, and maybe it was on the MLB update, but there's so many of these baseball games I can't find the Yankees half the time. Maybe I'll get used to it through the course of the year. And I have a lot of streaming services because I enjoy a lot of their original programming. So I've already had all these services and I pay for them. Or they're part of my main streaming service with Spectrum. But a lot of people don't, and a lot of people won't pay extra. So you got two different things. You got people who can't or won't pay more. And you've got the I guess lesser issue of the inconvenience of trying to figure out where games are. And what has been in a lot of cases inferior production. Apple TV was horrible when they picked up the Friday night package on baseball. Now, Brian said this morning he watched the game the other night and it was very good. I haven't watched the game this year on Apple. Prime has picked up a lot of stuff. There's been some issues from time to time there. They did a good job with the golf last week, though, on the Masters. And I thought they did a good job, and partly because Ian Eagle is one of my favorite play-by-players and called a great game. And I thought the production was pretty good, too. I don't know how many games they have in the playoffs, but it's going to be interesting to see how all these sports are heading towards it. We talked about it since the very first day I started doing these shows, that the future of sports was streaming and it was going to be, a pay-as-you-go. Maybe there'll come a time in the NFL where you can buy just your team's games. But, there hasn't been anything on free TV for years when you think about it, unless you've got a digital antenna, and I do have one, so you can watch the games on if I wanted to. I do have a couple of digital antennas because at a time there was a time where when I like the Me TVs and the Cozy TVs, which I like to watch some of the old shows sometimes. I couldn't get anywhere but there, but now you can get that on the streaming services too. Anyway, I digress. Some baseball guys, a baseball reference to them as a drywall school to the handyman. That being said, that site never updates rookie weigh-ins. Sammy Sosa, 6 foot tall, 165 pounds. So you're saying they never changed it from when he was a rookie? That's fair. Listen, I live by the baseball reference. One of my bigger problems, and I guess they've got no choice because of the way we watch or watch baseball or whatever sport. There's too many of the, advanced stats, if you will, metrics and advanced statistics, right? All I need are plate appearances, at bats, walks, home runs, doubles, triples, home runs, stolen bases, caught stealings, errors, chances. I don't necessarily need batted balls in play, barrel rate, looking at some of the pitching roles, and I don't even understand half of them, especially WAR. I don't need WAR. I got into a disagreement with a guy. I think I mentioned this already, but I got a disagreement with a guy in a chat room a week or so ago about Nolan Ryan and Phil Niekro. And, WAR made Niekro look like he was twice the pitcher that Nolan Ryan was. And I like Phil Niekro. I respect Phil Niekro. Nolan Ryan was a much better pitcher than Phil Niekro. So take your war and keep it. Danny's with me. I don't dislike Tiger, but I think some of the times he's gotten away with it without anything happening. You and I would have been in jail, by the way. We wouldn't have been given a choice to go travel to wherever he is to rehab. We only hear about the thing, and we only hear about the times that things happened. He's got a problem, go get it fixed and hire a chauffeur. It's fair enough. I mean, that's true. I mean, we've got these instances that we know about. How many times could something have happened? And again, I'm no angel. I mean, at 66 years old, I am, for the most part. I've got my wife to drive me around if I partake. And I don't even, partake the way I used to. I had 2 beers last night with dinner. That was a lot. I don't drink that much anymore. Well, to one trigger. I won't have any today. Once the weather gets better, we'll have a few, sitting outside watching ball games and whatnot. But you just can't do what he does on what seems like a consistent basis. Either that or every time he does it, something happens. Danny talked about Sosa, 165 for Sosa, more like 210. When he came up, he was skinny. So the rookie, I think that's Chris's point. Matt, I think if you go back and find baseball cards for him when he was a rookie, he was probably more like 220 after the steroids or during the steroid use. If I can find it. But when he came up, he was skin and bones. Go take some look at some pictures of him from his time with the White Sox and his time with the Rangers. Sammy Sosa weight by year. Here we go. I got his weight by year. How about that? Does it come up? Sammy Sosa weight in history. Look at this. Baseball almanac. No, you're not going to give me his weight by year. Ain't no way. There's his salary. That's funny. The weight said he was, I'd love to find this. I thought I was going to get this. It came up weight by year. That's too bad. 165 pounds. That's probably what he weighed when he came up. But I can't find anything. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, I can't find anything about when he was at. Oh, here's one from Baseball Prospectus where he weighed 225 pounds at some point. This was from 19. Well, I don't know what year they were counting this. They have him at 6 foot 225. That could be now at 57 years old. I'm not sure. That's an excellent point. I don't know how we got on that. Rory McIlroy now has more green jackets than the Riddler. Well, he doesn't have the record for green jackets yet, but he's a young guy still. And I don't know if you guys are golf fans, watch Full Swing on Netflix. They just started a new season. It's it follows the entire season, and it follows certain golfers through that season. And I just watched episode 1 last night, and it was it started with the Masters, last year's Masters, and I'll go right through the Ryder Cup, which ought to be really interesting. So last year's season, this is like the 4th season of this. It's really interesting. If you like golf and you want to see behind the curtain of even if you just want, if like behind the curtain stuff, because again, reality TV stops the minute the cameras are rolling, right? But they catch these guys in a lot of what's the word? Situations that they aren't aware that the camera's on. So there was some good stuff last year. Interesting stuff. First, it gets all the game in any channel. Well, if you got a jailbreak one, you do, but the Fire Stick just itself isn't going to give you every game. I don't think. Now there is something you can buy, and I don't know what they call it. My buddy's son bought him one. I'm still thinking about getting one. I bought it at Walmart, I think. I mean, I found this thing. I think it was $300. That supposedly gets all the channels, all the movies, all the games. But I had the Fire Stick. I've gone to Roku in the last few years on all my TVs. But I had the Fire Stick, and you don't get all the games. Like games that are on Prime, you're not going to get unless you pay for Prime, unless you've got a jailbreak version, which used to be illegal, but they seems like maybe that's what you got, Matt. There might be legal jailbreak sticks now. When I had my Fire Stick, I had a guy at work that jailbreaked it. I mean, there's software that you can run through it and put on, and I could get movies that were still in the theaters. I could get every ball game. I could get every TV show basically that ever was made. Basically, I haven't done that though since COVID. So terrible. My stats are terrible. I'm in last. Can't make a right move. As always, I forget. There's days I don't go back and look. I check stuff out in the morning, and then I look, and 4 guys didn't play that night, and I didn't go back and check it because, quite frankly, I'm just having trouble staying interested. So I guess it'll be what it'll be. But the league's good. The guy that replaced you, I can't remember the name of his team, Rick. He might be in third. I'm not sure. People change their names every year too, so I don't remember or change your team name, so I don't remember who the hell's who. But I'm solidly in last place in that league. The other league that I'm in that is a pay league with Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, we're doing a little better. We're in second place. I can't. I don't know. It's not a matter of time. I have all the time in the freaking world. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm reading. I went to a new restaurant last night, The Grill, which is Jacob and Anthony's newest place here in Clifton Park. It was really, really good. Not inexpensive, but you know what? I don't go out and complain about pricing because if you're going to complain about prices, just stay home. Everything's expensive. I had a couple beers. My wife had a glass of wine. I had a really good, what I have, a Cajun dish that I had, jambalaya. And so it was really, really good and a really good helping. And besides the sausage and chicken, it's all in the rice and some small shrimp. They had 4 giant jumbo shrimps on top of it. So it wasn't inexpensive. And my wife's had an Italian dish, and it was like $111, Inexpensive? No. But I expect to pay when I go out. That's just the way it is. So it was really good. And I had a couple of red ales from Woods Hollow. It's a local brewery up here. Books I'm reading. I'm reading a book. I'm rereading, actually, Sparky Lyle's book about the Yankees in 1978, Bronx Zoo. the Bronx Zoo. I'm reading a book called The Nuclear Fiction, historical fiction. It's basically the nuclear war of 1975. I found out after reading the first book, it's a series of books. I'm on the third one now. And I'm also reading an autobiography of Anwar Sadat. So that's what I'm reading now. Very eclectic, right? Have Tiger call me. I can be combination driver security. There you go. You're probably going to have to move. I don't think he's going to come and spend a lot of time in Amsterdam, Rick. Just saying. I'm not sure. Rory's 36. He's got a good 5 to 8 years remaining. Maybe 14, right? I mean, Phil won a major at 51. Jack won a major at 46. So I would say he's got more than 5 to 8, depending. And again, things happen, right? Tiger looked like he was just going to obliterate Jack's record. And I remember then people in the golf world were saying, yeah, wait till he gets married and wait till he has kids. And there's distractions away from the golf course. And his focus will change. And it did. You know, whether it was for those exact reasons, I don't know. But I think Rory's going to win. He could win 10 more majors, quite frankly. He may, I mean, his performance on Sunday at the Masters was just glorious. It was a great Sunday last week. You know, we talked about the leading up to that round, and Saturday was a great round of golf. Sunday was just, guys up and down the leaderboard. I felt bad for Justin Rose losing again after being in the lead. He went from Rory went at one point from like a shot ahead to 2 shots behind to 2 shots ahead in like 4 holes. And Justin Rose took the lead. He was on fire for about 8 holes. And the wheels came off around Amen Corner, and he never really kind of got his breath back. The RBC in South Carolina. I haven't watched much of the golf this weekend. I spent so much time watching golf last week. My wife's had enough golf. RBC Heritage. Matt Fitzpatrick. I love. Fitzpatrick was the one of the key figures in, I think, either the first or second season of Full Swing. Very interesting as he was ascending into one of the better golfers. Scotty Scheffler. See, and Neil, I don't know about you, but when everybody's like 10 under par, I don't have as much fun watching golf tournaments. Yeah, we'll see a great finish today with Scheffler in play, with Kim in play, with Fitzpatrick leading. You still got some other great golfers. Cantley is in striking distance, I suppose. Aberg. Should be a great finish, I agree. But I don't have as much fun watching these guys shoot 20 under par as I do watching them even shooting 12 under par or whatever at the Masters, but struggling to get that done. I like the Opens, the U.S. Open, the British Open, where guys are struggling to stay under par a lot of years. Under par. I relate to that more. Watching them go just so darts at the frickin' greens, right? But this looks like it'll be a good finish. Scheffler might have won last week if he hadn't had such a bad Friday. Thanks for bringing it up again. I brought it up, and I was going to mention at the top, too. I had a note here. It's the one I couldn't read. But I mentioned this on Friday's MLB update. Garrett Anderson, and it happened just before I went live on Friday, passed away suddenly. But last I heard, I don't know what happened to him, Matt. Maybe there's more information I haven't caught up with yesterday. 53 years old, had a medical emergency and passed away. Very consistent player with the Angels. Later on, not he was past his prime with the Braves and maybe spent a little bit of time with the Dodgers, I think. Certainly was at the end of his career, not nearly the player he was before, but very consistent. Seemed like every year he'd be between 15 and 25 homers with a little bump here and there, 80 to 100 RBIs, a little bump here and there, hitting 280, 290 with a little bump here and there. Very consistent. Good teammate, part of the Angels' only World Series team. But I haven't seen any accounts of him not being a good person. Again, we don't know. We don't know these people. Only the people that know them do. And sometimes even they don't know. But by all accounts, Garrett Anderson was an upstanding human being. And it's sad to see some of these guys go, especially so young. We're starting to lose a lot of guys that I grew up watching, right? And those guys are getting, to be 90 years old, late 80s, 90 years old. It's to be expected. We're going to lose them. To lose them at 53 is a little different. And I certainly look at, it's funny, as you get older, you certainly look at deaths differently than you did in the past. I mean, I look at somebody who dies at 73 or 76 and I go, I used to think that was a good life. No, not anymore. But definitely our condolences go out to Garrett Anderson's family and friends. And again, he was a fine ball player. Thank you for bringing that up. Fitzpatrick has a 3-stroke lead, still correct. He still looks solid. He does have a 3-stroke lead over Scotty. And he won't tee off till much later today, probably like 3 o'clock. Is anybody off today? Yeah, there's a few guys off today. Got a Fire Stick off Amazon. Friend sent me a well, there you go. You've got something that goes with your Fire Stick. Okay, that makes sense. Just a, out of the package Fire Stick isn't going to give you everything. Once you jailbreak it, which everybody does. My wife was so paranoid when I first did this. She's like, oh my God, it's piracy and we can get fined, blah, 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 blah. Relax. They find a way to block them after a while. We'd have to get it reprogrammed every now and again. And I could do it now. I just don't. I probably should. Money I spend on TV just is astronomical. I think Saturday played out of his mind. I think Sunday he played not to lose, and everyone else played worse. Who are we talking about? Rory? I think Sunday he played not to lose, and everyone else played worse. Or Justin. Everybody played. It's funny. Even when they're playing bad, he still shot under par for the day on Sunday. Rory was all over the golf course. All of them were all over the golf course. And I think Rory, I said this on, I think, Monday on the weekend playbook. I think Rory won this tournament on Saturday when he managed to play so badly, lost all his stroke. He was 6 strokes ahead, remember, the record for the Masters. And he only finished 1 over par. He could have easily been 6 or 7 over par on Saturday and maybe taken himself out of the tournament. Watching Full Swing, I didn't realize, I'd forgotten, I should say, that last year he fell 6 strokes behind Justin Rose. Then Justin Rose fell way behind, and Justin Rose came back, and then they met in a playoff. So it was just some great, great golf this last weekend. Garrett was a highly touted prospect, and he had about a half dozen different rookie cards before his first Topps card. Interesting. Well, Matt would know about that. In Toronto, sports media it tends to go Leafs, Blue Jays, Raptors. I guess that makes sense. Kids today would never believe Doug Flutie and his Argonauts used to pack 40,000 fans into Skydome. The Canadian Football League doesn't seem to have the pizzazz that it had back in the 90s. Well, I think I used to watch it in the 70s. It was really good. 80s when Warren Moon. You had some really good players play up in Canada. Not that there's not good players playing there now. But we aren't seeing the Fluties go up there and play. We aren't seeing the Moons go up there and play and make their way back to the NFL and make an impact there. And there's a handful of other guys. I mean, Ricky Williams went up there and played. Vince Ferragamo played up there. Certainly not at the level of Warren Moon. I remember Fred Biletnikoff finished his career with I want to say the Alouettes. So, and the Raptors, by the way, speaking of the Raptors, I know they won an NBA championship a couple of years ago, but they can't seem to get really. I mean, I guess they have in the past, right? They did have Tracy McGrady at one point. They had Vince Carter at one point. But right now, they can't seem to bring star players. They had Kawhi Leonard for a year. They won a championship. And they'll probably build a statue for him because I can't see this team winning again. They can't seem to attract great players. There's a lot of good players on this team, right? RJ Barrett's a really good player. He can't be your number one guy. Scotty Barnes can't be your number one or two guy. Brandon Ingram can't be, none of these guys can be the number one guy. A lot of these guys would be really good on really good teams. Would be a really good addition to really good teams, I'm saying. So if they were the fifth player, fourth player, first guy off the bench, whatever, I'd love to see Scotty Barnes playing in New York. Forget about bringing Giannis here. Let's bring in role players like Scotty Barnes. RJ Barrett's a fine player, and I'm sure they love him in Toronto. He's from Canada. But this team's not going to be – they're going to make the playoffs. That's the problem. They're going to be good enough to make the playoffs, not good enough to get really good draft picks, and they're not going to be able to lure top free agents. So they're going to make the playoffs most years and go out in the first round, second round if they're lucky. They're going to lose this series in Cleveland. And if they play like they played yesterday, they'll lose in 4. You didn't know that? Oh, yeah. About the Garrett Anderson cards? You had a bunch of his cards. He was a guy that I admired a lot. Again, there's a lot. I say I root for, one team, right? But there's a lot of guys I like and respect and I like to watch around the league. I'm a baseball fan, not a Dodger fan. Love to watch Ohtani at the plate. Who doesn't? Love to watch him pitch. Not a lot of guys I root against. There's teams I dislike, even hate. Red Sox, Celtics, Giants, Jets. But I have a healthy respect for a lot of these teams as well. I respect them when they're good. I don't wish bad things. A lot of guys that I've watched sports with over the years, the guys they don't like, they'll wish injury on them or what. I'm a big believer in karma. Karma says, don't wish bad on somebody else because you're going to get it in the end somewhere. May not even be in this life, might be somewhere else. But karma's going to catch you. You're not smart. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, here. 15 years as an Angel, big part of the 0-2 team. Yeah, definitely. The only World Series winner for the Angels. And he was a really big part of that team. He was just a consistent player. Not a Hall of Famer, right? But he's certainly very good player for most of his career. And a guy that I enjoyed watching play when he happened to come across my screen. Really appreciate Gary Anderson. What else is going on in the world of sports we haven't touched on yet? The Mets, or the draft, or yesterday's games. Danny, Lakers. I know you hate the Knicks. Knicks look really good yesterday. Karl Anthony Towns, you saw everything he can do well and everything he doesn't do well. He didn't score in the first quarter. Brunson scores 19 in the first quarter and scores 9 the rest of the game. But Towns was pretty much absent the first half. He did get off a little bit in the second quarter, but you saw all the great things about him. The athleticism, the shot. He's a great shooter. Jack made a comment where he would that he would be in the top 5 big men shooters of all time. And at first I thought, no freaking way. Then I thought, we're talking about guys with jump shots. We're not talking about Wilt. We're not talking about Kareem. Kareem took jump shots. He didn't shoot as well as Karl Anthony Towns, I don't think. The only guys I can really think of, especially in recent history, would be Dirk and Jokic. That's it. But yesterday you saw all of the good and bad about him. He'd forget to put his hands up and play his guy on defense a few times. He turned the ball over a little bit. Again, just fall asleep sometimes on plays. But then you saw the great part of him. Second half I think he scored 19 points in the second half. And the Knicks didn't feel, I know this game got to be 4 in the fourth quarter, but I didn't feel like they were going to blow this game. I've seen them blow a lot of games. I didn't have that feeling that they were going to blow this game. And by the way, the Knicks need Karl Anthony Towns to play like this and maybe even eliminate the bad cat a little bit more to be able to get to the finals. They need to get to the finals and make this not a disastrous season, because you fired your coach only because you said he couldn't get them any further. And you basically ran it back with the players. Now the bench is better. In fairness to Tibbs, the knock was he didn't use his bench, and then we did use them. They weren't ready to play because he didn't play them to the playoffs. But to me, he didn't have Mitchell Robinson last year in the playoffs. Jordan Clarkson, Tom Thibodeau never had a guy as good as Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. Shamat is a better player now. He didn't play that great yesterday, but he's a better player now than he was, and so is Miles McBride. They're the 4 key guys off the bench. And maybe the only 4 guys you're going to see get off the bench in this playoff series. But other than that, with the starters, they ran it back with everybody. In fact, they ran it back with everybody except for Clarkson. And you see Bridges, I think, step it up a little bit and play good defense. You see Brunson, who still handles the ball maybe a little too much. But you see the minutes down a little bit. Mike Brown's not a great coach. If Mike Brown, and the only way I'm going to say the Knicks were right, and this was a James Dolan thing in my mind, and Leon Rose, I think Leon Rose probably could have saved Thibodeau. He was his guy. Leon Rose probably should have, threatened to quit. I'm not firing Thibodeau. Got better every freaking year. Every year he was there, this team improved. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year and failed. They ran out of gas. Injuries caught up with them. That stuff happens. Tibbs detractors will say, well, he ran those guys into the ground. And in fairness, they won more regular season games last year than they won last year, but that doesn't matter. All they need to win a championship or at least reach the championship round, or firing Tibbs will always have been a huge mistake. There'll be no rationale that says you did the right thing. That probably never will be for me anyway. I know there won't be for Danny. But there's no universe that Mike Brown's a better coach than Tom Thibodeau. I don't know that I'll say that anything different if they win this championship. Hell, you respect teams, Giants, NFL, even when they suck, they're just saying, I'm learning to leave more content the further Keith falls behind. What is that? What? You're going to have to help me with this one, Danny. This one's too rough even for me. To respect your teams, Giants, NFL, even when they suck, just saying. I'm just saying I respect teams and players. I didn't say I say they're good when they suck. I can't figure out what else you're saying there. I'm learning to leave more content the further Keith falls behind. I'm not sure what that means. I'm actually pretty caught up today. Oh, McMahon, Jesus Christ. Yanks showed some offense yesterday. Let's take a look at that box score yesterday, shall we? And good news, by the way, Cole pitches in rehab through 36 out of 44 pitches for strikes. Did go up 3 runs in 4 innings. Who cares? It's not about what he does there. But it looks like it's going to be the full 30 days. And I think they want to make sure he's healthy, and they should. Look, if you told me they get off 12-9, I'm bitching and moaning about how they're playing. But if you told me they're going to get off 12-9 without their number 1 starter, number 2 maybe, Fried is that good, without Volpe and having to play Caballero every day at shortstop, with McMahon hitting, less than my granddaughter weighs, I'd have told you you're nuts. But McMahon's up above 100 now. He got a home run yesterday. Or Friday. Was it Friday? When did he hit a home run? Friday night? Rosario hit his 3rd home run yesterday. He's still hitting lefties like crazy. And he played, and actually Boone played him against righties a couple times this last couple of weeks. I still think George Lombard will be the 3rd baseman there before the season goes too far. And by the way, Judge, and I talked about this on the MLB Update Friday, but Judge and Mike Trout put on a show for the ages in Yankee Stadium. The Yankees lost 3 out of 4 to the Angels, but Judge and Trout homered in every game of the 4-game series. Trout hit 5 home runs in the 4 games. Trout set a record. No visiting team player had ever hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive games. So just a great output there. And the Yankees bats come alive yesterday. But, Boone's got to stop with games on the line in the 9th inning, leaving guys with no hits on the season 3 times last week. So the week before last, I'm sorry, not this past week, but the week before. 3 times. He had a tying run on base in the 9th inning. Twice he let Escara hit, who was hitting about 100. And once he let, I think it was McMahon hit. No, Grinchek hit, who hadn't had a hit all year. He had Goldschmidt sitting on the bench. But in any event, I digress. Yesterday, Bellinger was 3 for 4. Rosario 2 for 4, as they said, with a home run. He's playing well when he plays. Rice has been on fire. His OPS is over 1,200. Grinchuk got over 100 yesterday. Chisholm, another 0 for him. He's been a black hole. Caballero's starting to play a little bit better. He's up to 230. But they need Volpe back. You know, whatever we think of Volpe, they need Volpe back. Caballero's not as good playing every day, much less playing every day at shortstop. So, Yankees 12-9. Again, if you told me they were going to go away 12-9 with no Volpe, no Cole, no Rendon, who I'm not a big fan of, but no Rendon, and you know the bottom half of the order hitting 130, I'd have said we did pretty good. Reggie Jefferson was a pretty good hitter. I remember Reggie. You're digging deep today, Chris. Speaking of the NFL, the Giants got away with highway robbery with the Bengals trade. No way Lawrence worth the number 10 overall pick. No. Well, here's the thing. When you look at it compared to the Max Crosby trade, they're about the same age. I think Lawrence and Crosby, I think Crosby's better than Lawrence. He was going to get 2 number 1 picks. So regardless whether he's worth it or not, here's the big problem. Giants, it is highway robbery because the Giants now have great flexibility in this draft. They, regardless of who gets picked where, they're going to have great options at 5 and 10, and maybe even they trade back from 10. Who knows? Depending on what they want to do. But the Bengals could have drafted a guy at number 10. Reuben Bain had been widely speculated to fall to 10 in the Bengals. They would have had a guy that they controlled for a while, and they'd have to pay him whatever the rookie salary structure was for a defensive tackle taken in the top 10, an edge rusher taken in the top 10. But they would have had him and for whatever, 3, 4, 5 years before they had to worry about it. Now they got a guy who wants $30 million a year, who's not going to get it. And the Bengals don't renegotiate. You saw what they did with Hendrickson. They've done that for 40 years, almost 50 years with Mike Brown in charge. They don't pay anybody. They pay the quarterback. They pay the wide receiver. Now they have no first-round pick. Dexter Lawrence is their first-round pick. Horrible. He's a good player. He's not worth the number 10 pick in the draft. If it was 25, okay. He's not worth the number 10 pick in the draft. Bengals lose all the way around here because this guy's not going to be happy. He's already unhappy. You think he's going to be happier now in Cincinnati? If he's not holding out this summer, he's holding out next summer because they're not going to extend him. I know they say they're going to, but not at $30 million a year. Crazy. You're right on top of this, Neil. 100%. Giants, big winners. And by the way, another thing. Harbaugh sends a message. If you don't want to be here, you won't be here. See ya. So you be careful what you wish for. Lawrence thought he was probably getting leverage, requesting a trade, get what he wants from the Giants. Can't afford to get rid of him. Now, they do have to replace a really good player. It's not like he's awful. But they'll find a tackle somewhere in the... There's only a couple guys, and they're probably not going to take them unless they trade back. I don't see them taking a defensive tackle here anyway. They'll take a tackle later on and develop him. And I don't think it's a major blow to the defense. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with those first 2 picks. They're going to have choices on offense if they want to put weapons around Dart. And they're going to have, if that doesn't work out or they don't want to go in that direction, there's some really good defensive players they can get at safety, and Caleb Downs, who's going to be a Hall of Famer in my mind. Again, prospects. Don't know. Half of these guys are going to wash out of the league and within a couple of years. Great call. Best 140 hitter. I mean, man, they can't go all year. I'm telling you right now, something's going to happen at third base. And I really think by midseason or sometime this summer, George Lombard will be the third baseman. Yeah. Well, it's typical Bengals. This team can't get out of their own way. Jack talked about maybe they learned their lesson with Hendrickson. And they'll take care of Lawrence. No, you don't get smarter when you do stupid stuff for 4 decades or more. You don't suddenly get smarter. I mean, Mike Brown is Jerry Jones without the Super Bowl wins. Did they split that series? I thought the Angels took 3 out of 4. I'm just used to I got used to the Yankees losing at that point. Oh, excuse me. Well, you caught me. Thank you, Matt, for straightening me out there. Soriano needs to get out of Anaheim. One of the big surprises this year, I talked about it Friday, some of the overachievers. Soriano's pitching great. I mean, who would have had on their bingo card? Where am I going here? Who would have had on their bingo card that Soriano and Aaron Ashby would have 5 wins to lead Major League Baseball here in April? Before April's out, they could get 6 wins in April. They're on their pace for 30 wins. Not going to happen. But he does need to get out of Anaheim. He doesn't want to be the next Trout. I mean, again, I don't know why anybody would want to play for the Angels. And I'm sorry for anybody that's an Angel fan because your owner doesn't even respect that you think you want a winner. I'm not going to stop railing at Artie Moreno till he sells his team. For him to think fans don't care about winning, so we don't spend money. We spend money to give them affordability, safety. He listed a couple other things. Entertainment. Well, you know what's entertaining to me is my team winning. But he said he didn't feel like winning was even in the top 5 priorities of players, or I'm sorry, of fans. He's full of crap. Winning is number 1 amongst any fan worth his freaking weight. Now, yes, you want to be able to go see your team and have some affordability. And you know what, Artie? You'll be able to give plenty of affordable tickets away and maybe even have affordable concession prices when your team stinks. But guess what? Fans aren't coming out for that. Yeah, we talk. I'd like to go to the ball game, to a Yankee game, and I can get. We talk about a lot about the costing a lot. I can get it into a Yankee game and take the bus down from here and not have to worry about parking. If I want to go sit in the bleachers, or not, I can even get seats that aren't in the bleachers, decent seats down either line. I mean, for like $60, it's not terrible. So 2 seats, $120. I get a bus ride and a bus ride back. So I got to pay the concessions. I get it. That's not totally unaffordable for most people. Now, taking a family of 5 is a different story. But you get to charge more for a better product. He doesn't think fans care about that. They just want to come and be safe. Freaking idiot. I'm trying to look up Soriano here. Soriano. What's he done prior to this year? Oh, he's never done much, man. He's 5-0 this year. 10-11 last year, 4.26 ERA. Year before, 6-7. Really his rookie year. He pitched in 38 games a year before. I would say mostly in relief. All in relief. He's pitching great, though. So, again, who would have had Soriano and Aaron Ashby in Milwaukee as the major league leaders in wins in April? You had it on your bingo card. Congratulations. You did very well. Eric later didn't mince words when talking about coming in after a bullpen starter. He says he hates it. A starting pitcher follows a rhythm. F. Graves says, damn straight. I agree. I won't disagree with that. Early show this morning is sitting on Makai Lemon of USC, just saying he'll make an impact rookie year. I like Lemon. Let's see, where did let me see if I can find them quickly. Gotta be. Come on. I want to find where the projection is on. How come I can't find him? Damn it. Let me just look. Should have done this in the first place. Okay. How come he doesn't come up? Oh, because I'm looking under tight ends. Malik Lemon, 15. PFF's got him 15. Starting inside the numbers receivers where they project him. He's a guy, again, if he falls to where the Patriots are, and I don't think he falls 31, I don't think the Patriots are interested in another inside guy. We've already got Booty really does that. Doesn't get down the field a little bit, but he's really the guy who's going to take Diggs' place inside. You got Pop Douglas, who does the same kind of thing. You've got several receivers who are that type of player. They need guys to get down the field a little bit. So if they take a wide receiver, I see them taking Boston, maybe out of Washington, maybe the kid out of Texas A&M, Concepcion. But I think Lemon's going to go. Where did he go in this draft that I ran this morning? Hold on. Let me let's see where he went. They gave him to the Jets at 16 in this draft I ran this morning. That'd be interesting. So not Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson didn't go. In fact, I hadn't made my pick. So let me just take a pick and let's see what happens to the rest of this round. They're grading my draft right now, by the way. Where's the rest of it? Let me see the rest of my draft. So he didn't get picked. Ty Simpson ends up not getting picked. So I like Lemon, by the way. Nice guy. Or a nice player. 1985, the 16th pick was a steal. Just saying, now we'll go. What? In 1985, the 16th pick was a steal. Just saying, Gene now. Keith will go to his go-to guy, 199 pick, just because. Not just because. Who was the 16th pick in 1985? Who was the 16th pick in 1985? I need to know. Because I need to know this. Oh, I put in 1965. You want to know who the draft was? Who it was then? Who was the 16th pick in the 1985 NFL draft? I don't know if you're just throwing it. If you got a guy in mind, Jerry Rice. There you go. So you're picking Lemon to be Jerry Rice? Is that is that the correlation? I'm trying to figure out what we're talking about here. Artie must go for sure, man. Thank you. You could have told me that before I looked him up. I should just wait. Again, you can find guys all over this place. And I thought Jerry Rice went a little later, by the way. I thought he was later in the first round than 16. But look at the guys picked ahead of him. Bill Fralick, Childress, Chris Dolman, all decent players. Bickett, Dwayne Bickett, no. Lomas Brown, Kenny Rudiger, Ron Holmes, Kevin Allen. Al Toon is the only wide receiver to go before him. Al Toon is a fine player. Not as good as Jerry Rice. And even if he hadn't had his career shortened by concussions, I don't think he would have been as good as Jerry Rice. Eddie Brown out of Miami went just before Rice at 13. Another nice player, not nearly as good as Jerry Rice. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens here. Where's my Met fans? Where's my Met fans? 10 in a row. Are we going to fire Mendoza or fire Stern? Stern put this mess together. And maybe I was too hard on John Gonzalez when he said this was a AAA team. A AAA lineup they roll out there every day. Again, I don't necessarily think it's a AAA lineup. I think it's some of these guys had fine major league careers and just aren't playing well. But the team doesn't play good fundamental baseball. I mean, they're horrible in every aspect of the game right now. And Mark Vientos is really the only player worth taking a look at on this team right now. Let's look at their box score from yesterday. I'm sure it's horrendous looking. Where are they? Mets and Cubs. So they make, Tyon look great yesterday. Peralta didn't pitch horrible. I mean, if Freddie Nolan McLean, Freddie Peralta, the starters are all pitching well, except for Peterson and Senga. The top three starters are pitching well. Not a whole lot to show for it. Because you got, Benj, the rookie in right field, hitting 150. You got Bichette up to 227. Lindor got over 200 with 2 hits yesterday. But he's making some bonehead plays. He doesn't play. He wants to be team captain, and he's playing like a guy who should be anything but team captain because he's sulking that he's not the team captain. Robert with a couple of hits, hasn't played horribly. Melendez hitting a 400. Maybe he needs to play more. That's after going over 3 yesterday. Alvarez has been better with the bat than he's been with the without it. And even Vientos now is back down to 240 after I just pumped them up the last 3 days. Marcus Semien, 216. They brought up Tommy Pham at 36 years old trying to get some outfield help. For $1.50. With points, I mean, look at the NBA games are almost unwatchable today. We only got a couple minutes left. So Boston's 12.5. Oklahoma's 14.5. Pistons are 8.5. Spurs are 11.5. If I was going to bet a game today, it'd be the Spurs to win by more than 11.5. I don't bet NBA. And I take the Sabres. What are the Sabres today? Let's parlay the Spurs, and maybe I'll go on DraftKings and put a little wager in. The Spurs and the Sabres. How about that? It's fair. What did I miss on here? Anything? Talk about the Redskins. By the way, Danny, real quick, I don't know if we have time for you to get me an answer or not. We talked about liking the color scheme for the Redskins going back. Sorry, team formerly known as the Redskins going back and the arrow going on the helmet. I think it's the first step in them going back to the Redskins nickname. I think, don't you? Let me know. I said earlier, I'll think all four of these games today. There's 4 matchups today, too, by the way, Danny. I think. Yeah, it's 4 matchups today. All 4 could be 4 games. 5 max. I agree 100%. Said that this morning. I'll say it now. All these games could be 4-game series. Horrible matchups. The games yesterday, I think Cleveland probably has the easiest path of the teams yesterday, but I like Denver to get to the NBA championship series, by the way. I think this is the first step. They've been crawling towards this. Public sentiment wants it back, including Native Americans. The majority, I think 70%, don't hold me to that number. And again, it's 70% of the ones that were asked want the logo back or want the team name back. I think it's going to happen. So, you think the Pistons and Magic go 6? I'm not sure. I don't think I like the Magic a lot. I think the Magic were one of the more disappointing teams this season. Them, the Warriors. It's going to be interesting to see what the Warriors do. I think the Warriors might have to blow this up. And Steve Kerr could very well move on. It's going to be interesting if Steph Curry is a one-to-franchise player or not, because I think he may have to move on. If he wants to get another championship, he's got championships. You know, there's going to be some interesting things to watch for in this NBA offseason. So, in any event, I appreciate you guys joining me. I appreciate you participating in the way you always do. Thank you for that. We'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack on the weekend playbook, Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. And during the week with the College Sports Huddle, we'll get into more NFL draft news. And we've got a draft show coming up on the Mega Podcast Network during the first round of the draft. So check that out. And I'll be back tomorrow morning. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.